Hello and welcome to the Sonofield Ear Trainer Overview User Guide video. If you want to skip around to parts of the app you don't understand or you need help with, you can using the chapter markers below. Otherwise, we'll go through the whole thing here together, beginning with the question, what is Sonofield? Sonofield is an app that I designed to help you gain instinctive melodic fluency, by which I mean understand and comprehend the melodies that you hear in music or you imagine. So if you're listening to a song, you know what those melodies are and you can play them and you can manipulate them and do whatever you want. And likewise with the melodies that you imagine when you're actually writing or composing music, improvising, or just walking down the street. Be able to know what those are instead of having a vague sense or just a bunch of pitch relationships that you need to search for on your instrument. You'll be able to know clearly what they are in relation to a key and be able to play them or do whatever you want with them. That's the whole purpose of the app, really, is to train this. And we do this by leveraging the feeling states, what I'm calling the feeling states of the scale degrees which make up melodies in music, in tonal music. So what is a scale degree? A scale degree is a number that we assign to a note in a key. So all this has to do with playing in a key. This is not just abstract random music or atonal stuff. This is about having a key center. What is a key? It means this. That's what being in a key is. There's a note that feels like home, feels like rest, feels like perfection, feels like the place, the generating tone that everything else descends to and comes from in that set of notes. That's what it means to be in a key. That's what it means to play tonal music. So we leverage this in Sonofield by the fact that every note within a key has a particular feeling or quality or sensation or color or flavor or whatever you want to call it. I call them feeling states, which we can talk about more as we go along, but other people will find other terminology that works for them. So let's do this again. So you feel something now? Now what about this? Take note of the feeling, the immediate quality, the immediate perceptible quality. It's not just a sound, like an inert sound. It has a sensation to it. It has a color to it. It has a quality that we normally call resolution or stability. Now, let me do it again. Now that time, that pitch was different than what you were expecting, but it still has the same quality, still has the same feeling state. Let's do it again. Once again, the pitch is now vastly different, but the feeling state is the same. That's the point. That's what the word feeling state here, or quality or color or characteristic, is referring to. If we just call something a sound, maybe that's like the sound of the wind or the sound of, I don't know, dropping a rock on the ground or something, or of a car. Perhaps those have a feeling to you, but these notes within tonal music, they have a very particular, repeatable feeling state or quality to them, and we can learn that. We can learn to identify and recognize those, and that gives us the power to know what we're hearing in melodies. So the one that I've been doing just now is called the tonic. The tonic means the root note of the key, the home note, the generating tone, the key center. The other notes all have their own feeling states, and the thing is, we number these notes, and these numbers are called scale degrees. So instead of playing C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C major scale, I'm just going to number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's the important point here. Scale degrees are just an abstracted form of the key, the notes of the key, where instead of giving them pitch names, we give them numbers, because if you give them numbers, the information applies to all keys, not just the specific ones. If I say C, D, E, F, G, well, that's talking about C major, but if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I can apply that information to any other major scale, or any other scale at all, actually, any other key center. So for instance, if I take a little melody that goes like this, that's 1, 3, 5, 6, 5, 3. Now I can take that and play it in a different key. For instance, how about here? Let's go somewhere very different. or here, or here. Make a little song out of it, Back to Home. Anyway, that's the same melody. As far as the scale degrees are concerned, 1, 3, 5, 6, 5, 3, played in different keys with different tonics. That's what it means. It's a different 1. Wherever your 1 is, all the other scale degrees will have the same relationship to 1 in any given key. That's the point. So scale degrees are an important way of abstracting musical understanding, musical knowledge, musical information, so that it applies to all keys equally. It's very important to understand this because the whole app is based on you understanding what these numbers represent. The third note of a major scale is just called 3. The second note is 2. The sixth note is 6, and so on. So you might ask, what about the other notes? Because there's 12 notes in a chromatic scale, and there's only 7 in a major scale. And so those also have numbers, but those are modified versions of the numbers that we use in the major scale. Just like if you're playing in C major, you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then the black notes on a piano keyboard would be C sharp or D flat, you might call that. So we have C to C sharp or D flat. So we're saying that the black key here is a modified version of one of the names of the white key. It's either a raised C, C sharp, or a lowered D, D flat. Likewise, D sharp or E flat, right? So just like that, in the number system here with scale degrees, we also have numbers which are modifications of the natural numbers. The natural numbers are just 1 through 7, and they represent the major scale, any major scale. So the other numbers, the chromatic ones in this case, would be called flat 2, flat 3, sharp 4, flat 6, and flat 7. So altogether I have 1, flat 2, 2, flat 3, 3, 4, sharp 4, 5, flat 6, 6, flat 7, 7, 1. Why are those what they are, using flats and sharps instead of the opposite? I'm not going to go into that right now, but I have other videos that talk about all this kind of stuff and a bunch of other videos on ear training, which you should really check out if you haven't yet, because it will help you gain a broader understanding of this whole method. But hopefully it will be enough in this video for you to be able to use the app effectively. So that's what scale degrees are. They're an abstracted form of the major scale, actually of any of the notes within a key, but the major scale forms notes 1 through 7, and then the other 5 notes are modified versions of that, and they appear in a very particular way in Sonofield, and they are arranged in Sonofield in a particular way, which we'll take a look at now. We can see in this circle that these scale degrees are arranged around it in a way that's not linear, meaning it doesn't just go 1, flat 2, 2, flat 3, 3, so on, just like it would do on a piano keyboard, but rather they're arranged in fifths. Every note clockwise is a fifth higher than the previous note. So for instance, 5 is a perfect fifth higher than 1, 2 is a perfect fifth higher than 5, 6 is a fifth higher than 2, 3 higher than 6, 7 higher than 3, and so on. This is just like the circle of fifths you might be familiar with from music, except instead of key signatures or chords, these are the scale degrees of a particular key arranged in that way. The reason they're arranged in this way is that notes which are a fifth apart from one another are most harmonically similar to one another, which means they feel similar. Notes which are a half step apart, say like this. This is C and C sharp. These notes are close in pitch. They sound similar, but notes that are a fifth apart, like C and G or G and D, feel similar or have a similar quality to them in terms of what we're talking about here, feeling states of scale degrees. So around the circle, numbers that are close together feel similar. Numbers that are diametrically opposed feel most different. Okay, so I've got my headphones on. I highly recommend you use headphones when you use Sonofield. It's not essential. You can definitely do it without it, but I do recommend it, and we'll talk more about that as we go. I'm going to push play in this free play mode here, and it's going to play a drone. The drone is a low, sustaining, unchanging note, which tells you tells your ear what the tonic is, what the key center is. The note that the drone is playing is the key center, is the tonic. And then we listen to the other scale degrees played against the drone to learn what their feeling state or quality is. So we play. Here's the drone. And I can tap on the circle to listen to a note. So when I tap 1, that is the drone note in a different octave. As far as feeling states are concerned, octaves don't matter. The feeling state of a scale degree is the same regardless of what octave it plays in, regardless of what instrument is playing it. Nothing matters. It's the number that matters in this case. So 1 is the drone note, is the tonic, is the key center. Now if we play 5, even though it's higher in pitch, there's a quality to them that is similar. And to give you an example of what I mean, I'm going to go diametrically opposite on the circle from 1 to sharp 4. Notice how totally different those notes feel versus... click that one on. There's a feature, it's actually a bug, but a feature where you can push a note and slide off and it will keep it sustaining. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, so notes that are close together on the circle feel similar. Notes that are far apart on the circle feel different. Feel maximally different. There's more to it than that in terms of the science of this and everything, but I'm not going to go into that right now. That's, though, the reasoning why this circle is arranged like it is. So scale degrees are an abstracted representation of the notes in a key, 1 through 7 being the major scale and the other ones being the rest of the chromatic notes, and they're arranged in a circle so that notes that are close to one another feel similar and notes that are far apart feel most different. So the circle is like a map. It's like a map of musical feeling, melodic musical feeling in this regard. So anytime you're going to be progressing in Sonofield, you're going to be learning the feeling state of a new scale degree. And to do that, you need to experience it a lot. And the best way to do that is to come into free play mode, put on a drone, and then play the scale degree. So say we're going to get familiar with 2. Just listen at first. Compare it with 1. 1 is the most familiar, most easy to get the hang of feeling state. Go to 5. Go to 2. Now my tip is, do your best to ignore the pitch. I know that sounds weird because 1 is higher and 1's lower and so on, but do your best to ignore that. This isn't about pitch relationships. That's why these are not arranged in a pitch ascending way like this. They're arranged by feeling. It's about the feeling. It's about the quality. So pay attention to the way that 2 feels. There's nothing mysterious, nothing weird that you're not understanding about this. When I say feels, you might just put in the word sounds, if that makes more sense to you. The way that 2 sounds versus the way that 5 sounds, or the quality or the color of 2 versus 5. We'll go across the circle now. Say we'll do flat 2. Compare 2 with flat 2. Oops. These notes on a keyboard are right next to one another. It's a half step apart. They're very melodically close, but they are harmonically, feeling-wise, very different, right? 2, flat 2. This is what I'm referring to with the feeling state of the note. And when you're going to get familiar with a new one, you need to come in here, play it, listen to it, and then sing it too. So you sing it in an octave that you are comfortable with, and you can change the octave with this button at the bottom. Once you get the hang of the note and you know what it is, you can stop playing. 2. listen to the drone, sing the long note. You don't have to say two, I'm just saying it so you know what it is. You can say whatever you want. It can be a solfege syllable if you're familiar with that. It can just be do, a, la, it doesn't matter. So long as you get the pitch, because the pitch right now is the scale degree 2, and you sit for a long time, do, and you just sort of bathe in the feeling state of that note to become familiar with it so that you'll recognize it when you hear it. That's an important point. So every time you get a new scale degree you have to work with, you need to come in and do this, either on a real instrument or with free play in here, whatever you like. Okay, so those are the basics of the method of Sonofield. It's about scale degrees, their feeling states against a drone. That's how the whole thing works. Why scale degrees? Because it's an abstracted form of specific musical information. So instead of saying note names, we say numbers because the numbers can apply to all keys equally. Why the circle? Because it arranges them by feeling instead of by pitch. And why the drone? Because it provides a clear, stable, harmonic context for you to learn and experience the feeling states of each degree against. This is not my invention. This has been going on for a very, very long time in different parts of the world, but now it's an app form so you can do it and be explicit in the way that you're learning it. Okay, so before I move on to the rest of the app, let's just touch on some important info to know. First of all, Sonofield is being updated all the time. So even the stuff that you see me using in this video and talking about is probably going to be different if you're watching this in the future. I mean, the core is going to be the same, but there will be new features, there'll be bug fixes, there'll be changes to the UI. Don't worry about that. You know, the general idea here is going to be exactly the same, but it's being updated all the time. And those updates come because of your feedback from people just like you. If you go into the account screen, you can leave us feedback. Maybe in the future, the feedback form will be somewhere else. I'm not sure. But somewhere in the app, there's a feedback form. Right now, it's in the account menu screen. And you can leave us specific feedback about feature requests, about bugs you find, about stuff that you'd like to see, stuff you don't like, whatever it happens to be. It's important that you do that because then we can make the best app possible. And that's where all the bugs and updates have come from so far, is from suggestions from people. So your suggestion matters in that case, and we do want to hear from you, so please leave feedback. Next, the app does not replace real music. It's a supplement to real music. Ear training is a holistic thing that happens in all ways when you play music consciously and you are aware of what you're playing and you take note of it, especially when you apply labels to it, right? Ear training really works at all by applying labels to experienced sounds and associations made over time. You do this whenever you play your instrument, whatever it is, or when you sing, or whatever it is that you do in terms of your interaction with music. This is a supplement to that. This is not your entire ear training world, is this app. It's not. It's a way of isolating and training in a controlled environment that's very useful, but you still need to go play your instrument. You still need to try to transcribe real melodies. You still want to try to improvise. You still want to imagine melodies and try to play them on your instrument. All this kind of stuff is essential. All right, so let's explore the app a little bit. I'm just going to quickly go through the different elements that are in this version that I'm currently using of the app and talk about it. So on the main screen, we see the different game modes, main game modes, training types, that is, degrees, melodies, voice, pocket mode, and free play. Degrees is about training single scale degrees against a drone. It's the most basic and most important type to work on. It's how you learn the individual feeling states of each scale degree so that you learn to speak the language, so to speak. Melodies is strings of scale degrees, just like real melodies are, starting simple and getting more complex, allowing you to take what you learned in the degrees mode and apply it to real melodies that play in sequences. The voice mode is where you produce the degree. The drone plays, you turn your microphone on, it asks you to sing a particular scale degree, and you have to produce it. When you can produce degrees in and of yourself and sing them, that means you know them. It's one thing to be able to hear something and recognize it and say, oh, I know that is some word in the language I speak. But it's another thing to be able to produce the word yourself. And it's the same thing here. It's different to be able to recognize a 3 when you hear it in the wild or in your mind, but it's another to be able to willfully produce a 3 against a drone or in some harmonic context, and that's what voice mode is all about. Pocket mode is about hands-free training where you can set up a situation where the app will play for you and play scale degrees one after another and give you the answer so you can train while you're doing other things like in the car or at the computer or whatever it is, laying in bed, whatever it is, doesn't matter to me. It's about training when you don't need to access the phone. You don't need to input answers. It kind of goes on in the background and you pay attention to it. And lastly, free play was what I was using. It's just a little instrument where you can put on a drone and play and experiment and sing and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to go into depth with this stuff, but I just wanted to mention these things first of all. So before we explore these modes more in depth, I just want to talk some more about some other aspects of the app. If we go into any of the modes, we'll see that we can change which mode that we are looking at or working with on this preset screen. We can select a difficulty, which is measured in these gems. We have a novice difficulty, an adept difficulty, and a master difficulty, and they each have different constraints and complexity factors that change the way the exercises behave. And as we scroll down, you can see there is a learning path here that takes you through the scale degrees in a particular order, introduces them to you, and tests you on them until you really know them. Path of the Sun gives you all the bright major degrees in the sharp 4 from Lydian, for anyone who knows that kind of thing. And Path of the Moon is the darker side, minor degrees in flat 2 from Phrygian. And Path of the Union is everything all together up until chromatic scale, the full chromatic experience. We also have challenges, which are interesting combinations of degrees that kind of put you to the test in different ways. So all sorts of stuff to explore in there. And there's a custom mode where you can make your own presets to train on by tapping the circle and choosing which degrees you want to have be part of the training session and which you don't. And then you give it a name like custom's fine. We'll save that. And then this is available to be used in different training modes if you want to. Now, there are tutorials built into Sonofield, and there's more to come with that. At the moment, the tutorials, as I'm making this video, are found on the main screen by clicking why and how to use Sonofield at the bottom. And there's a big tutorial here that's really worth reading that goes over some of the things I've already talked about. And each game mode also has its own tutorial, which you can find by clicking in the top right with this little question mark icon here. And that will have a tutorial for that game type, which we're also going to go over this stuff, but it's good to know that that's there. As well, there's settings for each game mode, which change various aspects like volume sliders and various things that are related to that particular game type. So let's take a deeper look into degrees mode. So I'm going to tap that. I'm going to go just for now to novice difficulty. And on the path, I'm going to go to Path of the Sun first level. So when I come in here, I see the circle and I see that 2 degrees are highlighted, 1 and 3, because those are the only possibilities in this game type. The way this is going to work is when I push play, I'm going to hear a drone, which establishes the key, establishes the context, the key that we're in at the moment. And I'm going to get 10 questions on that drone. And the question is going to be a tone which is played, and I have to identify which scale degree am I hearing. Is it 1 or is it 3? And I answer by tapping the circle. After I've done 10 questions, the drone is going to change to a new tonic, where I'm in a new key. You get used to that. And 10 more questions, change again. 10 more questions, change again. So let me just put my headphones on here. So I'm going to push play. I hear the drone. And I click the degree. If I get it wrong, I see this screen. It shows my answer in red, and I can click to listen to it. And it shows the correct answer in green. I can compare. I can also go to the circle and tap those. Or any other degree if I just want to compare against them as well in case I thought it was something else. When I'm ready to move on, I can click next. And this is the way the game goes until the end. I'm not going to finish the whole thing for now. If you push this button in the center, it repeats the question, of course, until you get it. That's the way degrees mode works. All right, so I went ahead and finished a game of degrees on this level 1 on novice difficulty. I got 30 out of 30. I'd sure hope so. And as such, because I got a perfect score, the gem turns gold, as you can see. If you get above a certain threshold, a required threshold to pass the level, then the gem will become the color of the difficulty. Green for easy, blue for adept, and red for master. In this case, because I got 30 out of 30, it's gold. It shows me that I've unlocked the next level, which I can click to do, or I can go to different game modes, retry this one, a bunch of options here in the results screen. So if I'm practicing, I'm probably going to go on to level 2. Now it automatically loads level 2 for me in degrees mode, and I do the same thing over again. When I come back to the main preset screen, I can see I have a gold on novice on level 1 in degrees. If I switch to melody, I have nothing because I haven't done anything in melodies yet. When I go back to degrees, I can see, right, I got novice gold. If I had gotten novice but not perfect, it would be a green gem in this little spot down here. And then same with the other difficulties. If I do adept, it will be a blue gem. If I get perfect, it will be gold. If I do red, I will get all 3 red gems. If I do that perfect, it will be 3 gold gems. Now, a couple tips for degrees mode, and really for the whole app altogether, is focus on the feeling state. Take your time. In novice mode, you have infinite time to answer the question, and try to hear the tone and just pay attention to the quality, to the feeling state, to the perceptible characteristic of the note. Don't worry about its pitch. Don't try to hear, is it high, is it low, is it, ignore that. Ignore the timbre of the sound. It's not a piano, it's not a guitar, whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is the quality, the immediate perceived feeling state of the note, which is the same irregardless of what octave it's in. It's important that degrees mode tests you on various octaves, because if it doesn't, you become too familiar with a particular relationship. You know that if the drone is here and the note is in this octave, you can recognize it, and that's what you learn. We don't want to learn that. We want to learn the universal, the global feeling state of that number, of that scale degree, which applies across all octaves. Secondly, don't rely on other techniques when you're using this app. Not saying other techniques aren't useful, of course they are, but there are other techniques like using resolutions, such that when you hear a 3, you resolve it down to the 1, or you hear a 7 and you resolve it up to the 1, or whatever it happens to be. We don't want to use that now. Right now, we're trying to get familiar with the particular momentary feeling state of 1 degree, not how it moves in the key, not what it normally does, not what it's close to, but just its own quality. That's why you go into free play and you sing the note and you play the note and you just bathe in its own feeling, not in what it typically does in music. All that stuff is good too, and I also use all that when I'm doing music normally. But here we're training this one particular skill, which is focusing on the vertical moment of the note. That is, it in the moment as opposed to it horizontally, meaning as a string, how it relates to other notes, its interval from other notes, and so on. Okay, let's move into melody mode now. So in melody mode, we're going to get a string, a short fragment of a melody, a string of scale degrees, and we have to identify all of them. I'm just going to set up a custom preset to do this, since I haven't unlocked anything on this version of the app. I just erased all my progress for this video. And if I play, the drone comes. And I get 2 notes given to me, because this is novice difficulty, so the melodies are only 2 or 3 notes long, and I have infinite time to figure it out. So I listen again, that's the 1, that's the 2. So I input 1, and then I input 2, and we're good. Next, that's 6, that's 6. So that was the same degree in 2 different octaves, right? So don't let the pitch fool you. The feeling state is the same. So it's 6 and it's 6. Now, 1, 6. Now I'll get one wrong. So we'll go 1 and 5. And now we see, just like in the other results screen in degrees mode, but now we have multiple of them. We see what I answered. We see what the correct thing is. We can play around the circle if we want until we're satisfied, and we move on. So that was 3 that time, 2, 1, 6. And let's put that in. We can see there's only 15 questions in this mode as opposed to 30 questions. This is because the melodies are more involved and harder to work with, so I think it makes more sense to have less questions. So that's all there is to it. You can click this to replay just like before. Everything else is the same. The tips are also similar. Again, focus on the vertical moment of every melody note that passes. In real musical applications, you will use other tricks of hearing sequences of notes that you become familiar with, but when you're using the app, try to hear every degree individually and identify it individually in a row like that. That's an important way to work with this. Okay, let's go into voice mode now. So go into a basic game, push play, drone comes on. Always good to sing the drone. Sing the drone, whatever octave. And now it's gonna ask me a 1. It wants me to sing a 1. The drone is 1, right? So the drone, I was just singing this note already. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna push the microphone button and hold it down, singing the drone. You see it moving around as I change my pitch. What I wanna do is get the correct scale degree, 1. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not a singer, so it's not gonna be perfect, but 1. When I'm happy with it, I'm going to let go, and we get it. 3. So how this works is for the duration that I'm holding the microphone button down, it's gonna be listening. I can then tune myself if I want to, and when I'm happy with what I'm singing, I let go of the mic button and it will accept whatever that pitch was that I was singing. 1. You can be very fast with it. 3. 1. 3. The point though is that I want to still be singing when I let go of the button. Myself, I like to sing first, then hit the button, then let go. But you can also hit the button first, 1, and do it like that. You don't have to say the number. I'm just saying the number, of course, for you to know what I'm singing. You can make any vowel sound, any noise that you want, doesn't matter. That's how it works in voice mode. Drone, it prompts you to sing something. You click the button, you hold it, you sing it. When you're happy with it, you let go, it accepts that answer, and you move on, just like the other modes. So my tip for voice mode is don't guess. Don't guess. When the drone comes on and it asks you for a certain degree, take a moment and produce the feeling state of the degree within you and let that inform what pitch is going to be sung, what pitch matches the feeling state. Don't just try to sing a pitch. It says 3, oh, and that must be up somewhere high. Oh, and then search around for it. It doesn't work like that. You want to wait, be deliberate, produce the feeling state within you, and sing the pitch that matches, then push the mic button while you're still singing, let go, it accepts the answer like that. Again, though, you don't really want to be doing voice mode too much until you've really learned a particular degree. So you start on 1 and 3 in degrees mode. You get that going well. You can do it perfectly. You might want to try that in melody mode then. Can you do them in little melodies? Cool. Can you do them as a voice at that point? Perhaps you know them well enough that you can sing them yourself. That might be a nice way to go about it. You don't have to use the app in that order. You can do whatever you want, of course, but voice mode is generally reserved for when you really know a degree already. All right, let's take a look at pocket mode now. So pocket mode is for hands-free training. It's something that you can set, lock your phone, and then will play in the background for you to train with. So let's try it. At any point, I can turn on and off degrees that I want to be included in the exercise. So for now, I've got 1, 5, 2, and 3. Why don't we include flat 7 in there and flat 6 for good measure? Because, why not? Now, when I push play, the drone, a degree, 1. Me. And you hear the degree again for confirmation. New degree. 1. Answer. Hear the degree again for confirmation. New degree. 5. Answer. confirmation tone. So when you're configuring this, you can set up a specific key if you want to work on that, or random keys. You can choose a preset from the whole path, or for your custom presets if you want to use those. Or you just set it up here in the moment. You just click through, and like I did before, you just choose which degrees you want. You can set up a timer that allows you to have this go for any length of time that you want, and then it will automatically turn off. And you can adjust some settings up here, like the speed at which things play. So for instance, we might want to go really fast, not have a confirmation tone, the repeat tone after the answer, and we might want, say, the answer volume, my voice, to be a little bit lower. Now when we play it, one, two, four. So you just set this, lock your phone, and then go about whatever you're doing, driving, walking, at the computer, in bed, whatever. And however you want to set it up, there's a lot of different ways to interact with it. It's set up currently such that it plays the tone and you try to guess. You then hear the answer, see if you were right or not. Either way, it's going to play the confirmation tone so you can lock that answer in. Right, that was 5. The next one plays, you guess, 3. The voice says it's 2. You hear the confirmation tone, 2. Right, lock it in, 2. That's one way to go about it. But you can see with these controls, you can configure it in a bunch of different ways. Lastly, let's just look in the account screen. Here we just see some information about what we've done so far, such as our total games. I've played 1 degrees game, 2 pocket modes, free play 7 times. We can send feedback. This is where the feedback form is. Please send us feedback about what you like and don't like, features you want to see, bugs. We really appreciate that. And then you can see what was recently updated by clicking on what we were working on. You can see the most recent updates and what's coming up next. You can see the status of your account. I'm on a pro account. The free account for Sonofield comes with the whole path for degrees mode and then has little tasters of every other mode, basically. So it enables you to do a full training on learning scale degree feelings, and then if you want to go further with melodies and voice and pocket mode and whatever, then you want to get the pro mode for that, and that's what this is here. Lastly, if you have a real problem and you need help with, you should click Contact Support at the bottom. Don't use the Send Feedback. Contact Support and send us an actual email. The feedback form goes somewhere else, where we can kind of bring all the feedback together. The support is for particular issues that you need us to be in contact with you about, where we will be able to email you back and respond. So that's it, Sonofield Ear Trainer. You can find it on the App Store for Android or Apple iOS. Download it, play around. If you like it, leave us a review. If you've got some feedback for us, please send it in the feedback form or contact support, whatever you need to do. I hope you enjoy it. People really seem to be loving it so far. So thank you for all the support. Thanks for watching this, and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. Until then, talk to you soon. Bye.